Hey, what's up, spooky fam? Today we got the mood lighting. We're talking about Ghost Stories, an anthology from 2017. This one had an unexpected twist. It was really heartbreaking. So let's get into it. Ghost Stories is essentially about a skeptic who was given a file with 3 unexplained paranormal cases that he needs to try and explain for himself. But in the end, there is something bigger and sadder that gets explained for us, and I think it's a great anthology. I won't talk too much about the movie in itself because this is one where I feel like if it was ruined for me, I wouldn't have been as affected by the twist. But I will go ahead and tell you things I did enjoy and did not enjoy about Ghost Stories. So firstly, it does, like I mentioned, start off with a skeptic being kind of thrust into situations where he needs to question his beliefs, and I think that a lot of us can relate to that when you are told like a spooky story, or like when you are told about a spooky experience and you just kind of don't believe it until you experience one for yourself. The twist does end up leaving us with the thought that our brains resolve things and experience things even when we're not there to experience it ourselves. Going back to the twist, and like I said, I don't want to ruin anything, but every single thing is presented to you about what happens in the end. You just have to keep watch and it'll all make sense. And I guess if you go ahead and rewatch it, you're kind of watching for the things that you know. There's an end scene where everything is revealed to you, so if you went ahead and rewatched this movie, you would kind of be on the lookout for everything that was shown to you. But everything is subverted so nicely that you're just, it feels like you're being hit just so hard with that end twist. Maybe I'll go into it in a little bit. Maybe I'll, because I don't want it to sound so vague, so maybe I'll give a spoiler warning and go into it just a little bit. But the biggest thing that I did like about this is that there are 3 stories instead of like the 4 or 5 that we usually get in an anthology. And like I mentioned in my introduction video, like the ABCs of Death, you get 26 films in that one. So it can be kind of overwhelming. And this one has a really strong main story to hold the whole thing together. Aside from like the beginning kind of family drama, I don't know, that just wasn't my bag. But the rest of it, just how it all came together, I really enjoyed that. He was the skeptic. That was a good thing to hold a paranormal story together, in my opinion. So I guess here's a spoiler alert. If you do not want Ghost Stories spoiled for you whatsoever, please go ahead and skip to this time right here. But very quickly, let's talk about the stories. Our first story is about a man experiencing extreme guilt after abandoning his daughter with locked-in syndrome. The man is then haunted by a young girl while working in an asylum. Our second story, we are introduced to Simon Rifkind. He is obsessed with the occult and has a shitty relationship with his parents. And his car breaks down after running over a creature in the woods. And our last story is about a financier who has a poltergeist problem while awaiting the birth of his child, when suddenly he decides to not alive himself. Without ruining too, well, I guess I'm gonna ruin it all for you right now. Our twist is that our main character, our skeptic, is the one who has locked-in syndrome. Like I mentioned in the first story, his nurse is Simon Rifkind, and there are things around the room that are in his room that he's experiencing while he has locked-in syndrome, that he can see and hear, but he can't move or touch anything. And all of this is just being processed in his brain, and he is creating ghost stories in his mind, which is why he cannot explain the events. And that fucked me up. That was really sad. But it was left subverted until the very last moment it could be, and it was fantastic when you finally got that reveal. So let's talk about ratings. I forgot to mention this in my intro video, but we're going to rate things differently once again this month. We're going to rate things by storytelling, scares, cohesiveness, and then my overall rating. So for this one, for storytelling, this one gets a decent 8.5 out of 10 because it was wrapped up so nicely and it did tell 3 really good stories. For scares, this one gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me because I feel like it gives you enough but brings you back to reality so quickly, but it leaves you wanting more. For cohesiveness, this one gets an 8 out of 10 because of the main character and how it wraps around back to him being alive, being aware, and then, like I mentioned, we're not going to go into there in case you didn't listen to the spoilers. So overall for me, Ghost Stories gets an 8 out of 10. I think this was a great anthology. I think it was original. It was fun to watch. It was sad to watch. I liked it a lot. A great appearance by Martin Freeman. So if you have seen Ghost Stories, let me know what you thought. Our movie tomorrow is Southbound, also from 2017. So if you have not seen that, go ahead and check that out if you want to keep up with the reviews. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow. Sayonara, Spooky Fam.